Hello, and welcome to Sourcing Hat's new YouTube channel. I'm Catherine, but you might know me online as The Sorceress. I thought I'd have a go at sharing some of my top talent sourcing tips and ideas here on YouTube. So let me know if you have any questions about finding talent on the internet. Today's video is all about LinkedIn profiles. So your LinkedIn profile is really important. For most of us, it's the top result on Google for our names. If you're messaging people or leaving voicemails, whether it's a candidate or a potential client, they're probably going to check you out online before deciding whether or not to reply. Is your profile working for you or against you? When I do in-person training with recruiters and sourcers, I look up the attendees first and do a LinkedIn profile audit. I thought it would be fun to take a look at my LinkedIn profile together and see what I make of my own efforts. It's definitely not perfect. So feel free to open up your LinkedIn profile now in another browser tab and listen to me as you look through your profile. Okay, let's open up my LinkedIn profile. Okay, so the first things I want to talk about are the things that appear in that box at the top of the profile, like your top trump card of LinkedIn. The most obvious eye-catching things are your profile photo and your header image. So I always check, does the person have a photo and does the person have a header image? The photo, LinkedIn's terms of service say that it should be a head and shoulders shot of you and not some other person, not a cartoon, not a logo, not your dog. It should be you and it should be a head and shoulders shot. I think the most important thing is here that you're recognizable. So I think I look a little bit more polished in my profile photo than I do in real life. I don't really blame anyone for doing that. I'm doing it. But, you know, maybe if I was criticizing myself, I would say it's not very on brand for you, Catherine. You're pretty a rough and ready person, and that's not how you come across in your picture. So are you on brand, basically? Okay, then your header image. By far, most of the work that I'm doing in the recruiting space at the moment is with Recruiting Gym. So I've got a Recruiting Gym banner there on my profile. But have you got a profile that tells people, yeah, this is the business that I'm working for, or this is the location that I'm working in, or this is what you can contact me about, or this is how you can contact me. There's all sorts that you can put in your header image. I've seen people making the most of it by including contact information up there. It's totally within LinkedIn's terms of service to do that, whereas including contact information in your name or your headline is not within LinkedIn's terms of service. So yeah, it's a great place to put that kind of information. Okay, what's next? Well, this is new, this little speaker. And what would happen if I click that? You would hear me saying my own name, Catherine Robinson. It's a nice new little feature from LinkedIn. In order to set it up, you have to go to the mobile app. So you need to get out your smartphone, make sure that you've got the LinkedIn mobile app installed, go in there, go to your profile and edit this top section. And one of the options will be to record it's a little 10-second clip that you can record. So I have seen some people putting in, their name plus a tagline and things, but it's really designed to help people who want to network with you pronounce your name correctly. So that's what I've used it for. And I think that's probably what you should use it for too. Even if you think, you know what, my name is really easy to say, using it normalizes the use of it. People get used to seeing it on LinkedIn, and it means our candidates are more likely to use it. And really, that's what we want. We want candidates to help us pronounce their names correctly so that we can make a good first impression. So normalize the use of it by adding it to your profile. The next thing I want to talk about is our headlines. So that is this section here. So this is by default, this comes up as your current job title at your current company. Makes total sense. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be anything you want. You've got 120 characters to play with. For mine, I've gone with job title at company. I've done that twice because I work at more than one place. And then I've also included my Twitter handle because I think some people are more likely to know me as the Sorceress than know what my real name is. And I've also included my preferred pronouns. That's another great thing to normalize out there in the world of business. So what do I think you should include or could include? Because this is your profile and everything that I'm telling you here, it's really just thoughts, ideas, ways that you might get more out of your profile. There's no right and wrong because it's your profile and you've got to decide what's right for you, what's on brand for you. I think that format that people expect to see is actually quite important, because when I'm looking down a list of things on LinkedIn, I'm used to seeing job title at company. And when I see something different, I just go, oh, I don't really know what you do. So make sure people know what you do. So if you're a recruiter at recruitment company, think about saying you're a tech recruiter at recruitment company, or you are a supply teacher recruitment consultant at company. Help people out. Just saying that you're a recruiter or a recruitment consultant or an executive search professional, it doesn't really tell people exactly who are you recruiting. Where are you recruiting them? Are you recruiting supply teachers in London at company? That would be really helpful. Somebody would be looking down that list of recruiters going, oh, which one do I get in touch with? And then they'd see you and go, well, that's me. Or they'd go, well, no, I'm in Birmingham, so that's not the right person. Keep going. Help people to know you're the right person, help them to know you're the wrong person, because one of the most frustrating things that can happen on LinkedIn is a good candidate contacting you, but they're just not quite relevant to the jobs that you've got. That's really frustrating. Okay, the next thing I want to draw attention to is the 500 plus connections. Bit of a badge of honor for us recruiters. If I'm looking at a recruiter or a salesperson on LinkedIn and they don't have 500 plus connections, I'm thinking, hang on, are you doing your job? If you think about it this way, if you've been in recruitment for 2 years, that would be about 100 weeks. So if you've spoken to 5 new people each week that you were a recruiter, you'd have 500 connections. That's not very many, is it? I mean, you start a new job, you're going to meet a load of people. So, that's, depending on the size of your company, that's 5 to 50 to 200 people you can add immediately. Yeah, that's a really conservative estimate. So if you've been a recruiter for 2 years and you don't have 500 yet, you've got some work to do, I'm afraid, because you're not impressing anyone. What's next? Okay, your about section. Now, I'm going to criticize my about section here because it doesn't really invite people to see more. So to press this button, what you want it to do is kind of cut you off mid-sentence. And I haven't managed to do that. You want people to click this see more button and read the rest of your about section. And the reason that you want people to click isn't just so that they learn more about you, it's so that they spend more time on your profile and they click. Clicking on your LinkedIn profile is super important because it gives LinkedIn a signal that you're relevant. So important. Talking about things to click on, we also want people to click here, contact info. Super important section, and I am certain people click on it. Why am I certain? Because sometimes I have my website in here and sometimes I don't. I sometimes switch it in and out. And when it's in here, I get more traffic from LinkedIn. So yeah, people must click and they must use this. Some of this information is visible publicly and you can see that when you edit, and some of it is not. Things like your websites are visible publicly and also Twitter, but your mobile number and email are only visible to your connections. The bit that I want to pick out here is this section on websites. So you've got 3 links that you can include in here, and I would say make the most of this. The website of the company that you work for, that's a bit of a no-brainer. But then also think of other things that you can include. So do you have a Facebook page you want to promote? Does your company have a YouTube channel that it'd be great for candidates to check out? Is there just a page on your website where all the jobs are listed? You could link to these things. Make the most of these 3 links. And when you go in to add a link, it's the top thing underneath your profile URL, so it's not hard to find. You paste in the URL. Oh, hello. Lucia just woke up. You can paste in the URL and then select what type of link it is. So you might be tempted to select company, but then it will just come up with the URL and company in brackets. It's not perfect. If you put in a link to a list of jobs on your website here, and what would you select for that? You'd probably go company again. You're not really telling people that it's a list of jobs. So my suggestion is always select other, because then you can type whatever you want. So I can put in sourcing hack website, or I could type in see our current vacancies, or I could type in watch our videos on YouTube, whatever you want. or get CV advice on YouTube. Whatever it is that you're giving in that place, tell people and encourage them to click. Okay, so save that and walk away. Okay, so we've kind of covered this top section. And what else is going on? Okay, so this is relatively new on your LinkedIn profile, this section called featured. So here you can include links, videos. You can also include links to posts that you've made on LinkedIn. So if I go into add, I can choose to share a post that I've made on LinkedIn, an article I've written, a link to something outside LinkedIn, or some media like a photo or a document or some slides. That's really great. I use this to kind of list a whole load of recruiting gym courses. Why wouldn't I? And when you edit this, you can change the order that they appear in. So I might say, oh, actually, I'd much rather promote the daily stand-up, because that's where I get to interact with most people. So I want that one to be first. I hit done, and now that one is first in the list. So it's the one people are most likely to see. Okay, next up, activity. If you don't see your activity section, you're not active on LinkedIn enough. Simple as that. What is here, and can you actually remember doing it, or was it so long ago that no, I don't even remember that post? Have a look at that. Does it appear, and do you need to up your activity? Next up is experience. So for this, I would pretty much say, have you got all your experience on here? Because you never know what's going to resonate with a candidate. I had one recruiter tell me a great story once. She'd contacted a candidate, and the candidate had responded and said, I never replied to recruiters, but I see you used to be a florist, and so did I. So I thought I'd reply. I mean, you couldn't predict it, could you? But there it is. You wouldn't have gaps on a CV, so why have gaps on your LinkedIn profile? Let people know the whole you, or the whole work you at least. I'd say always write something for each job, and definitely pick out keywords which are relevant to what you're doing right now. And those keywords, the more your keywords appear in different sections on your profile, the more LinkedIn thinks they're relevant when somebody searches with those keywords. So yeah, it'll all help your search ranking. Now you can include links and other rich media content for each job role. I'd say you don't need to do it for every job role, but I'd suggest having something there on your current job. So if you have a presentation or a video or things that you normally send out to candidates or clients, definitely embed that in your current role description. What happens once we've finished with experience? We get education. So I'd say just include your education. That's not rocket science. Just do it. Why not? Volunteer experience, again, don't think it's necessarily necessary unless you want to talk about it. If you don't do any, it's not the end of the world. I've kind of filled it in just so I knew how the section worked. It's all a bit old now, though, to be honest. So my profile isn't actually great. I think my profile is big and bloated and actually makes it hard to understand. Who is Catherine? What is she about? Why is she talking about Tweak Camp? Who even knows? So I've filled in too much, I think. I've gone over the top. So don't necessarily look at my profile for an example of what's good. You don't have to fill in a section if there's nothing to fill it in with, or what you're filling it in with isn't relevant to what you're doing right now. Now, skills and endorsements. I think this is a great barometer of the way your connections see you. What have they endorsed you for? Can you help influence people to think of you more the way you want to be thought of? And with that in mind, when you click to edit this section, you can choose which are the 3 skills that appear at the top, which are automatically the ones people are most likely to endorse you for because it's quick and easy and they don't have to hit that see more button. So if there are things you want to be endorsed for, pin those to the top. So I might say, okay, sourcing training, yeah. Online research, no, maybe I'll unpin that one, and I want to be known for, what do I want to be known for? I want to be known for knitting. I'm going to pin that. There we go. Sourcing, training, and knitting, which so far I don't have any endorsements for. So hopefully putting it there in the top 3, I might get a few knitting endorsements. Okay, let's keep going. Recommendations. Again, I'm not entirely certain how many people look at these, but people look at them everywhere else. You wouldn't buy something on Amazon without having a look at the reviews. You wouldn't go on a holiday without looking at the reviews of your hotel. So why would you work with a recruiter without looking at their reviews, right? I mean, that's what recommendations are. So I'd say definitely have a recommendation from the last 12 months and have a recommendation for your most current role. If you don't have that, go find somebody, find a candidate you've worked with or a client you've worked with, and just ping them a request. Ask for a recommendation. There's a button that is right here. Who do you want to ask? You can just start typing somebody's name. So I could say, I want to ask Alex for a recommendation. You select what your relationship was and what your position was at the time so that it can be associated with the right role, and just hit go, and they've been requested for a recommendation. Nice and easy. Accomplishments, again, this one's a bit of a weird grey area. If you've got something to include and it's relevant, go for it. If not, yeah, I wouldn't worry. Interests at the bottom, if somebody has got to the bottom of your profile and they're looking at this, they're just looking for an excuse not to get in touch with you. If they've made it this far, they're going to get in touch. But if this is weird, this is the last place you can lose them. So when you look at this, this is just a random 6 things from the influencers you follow, the companies you follow, the groups you're a member of, and the schools you're associated with. So if any of this is no longer relevant, get rid of it. So every now and again, I go into my list of groups and I say, right, okay, what of this is just no longer, what of this is just not me anymore? So most of this actually at the moment is fairly on point, but just sometimes I will have joined a few groups for, working on a particular role. I'm no longer working on roles like that, and it was best off if I just leave. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on things like groups, keep an eye on things like companies you follow. Is this still relevant? Yeah, that's all pretty relevant for me still. So great, I'll leave that as it is. Okay, that was my profile. How did yours look? Okay, thank you for joining me. I hope you got a few ideas for updates for your profile. It's always one of those things that is on my to-do list, but there's always something that seems more urgent. I hope you find time this week to give your LinkedIn profile a little TLC. If you have any profile suggestions, do pop those in the comments below. You can also share a link to your LinkedIn profile if you'd like me to take a look. The same goes if you've got a question, pop it in the comments below and I'll do my very best to find an answer. If you found this video helpful, then please do hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. I aim to put out a short video most weeks with sourcing tips for recruiters. So until next time, take care and happy sourcing. See you in my next video.